Hi, this is Terry, and since I am kind of stuck around the house, I figured I would go ahead and install a little GPS and put it on this quad I had just built. And just want to do some speed testing with this GPS, and also probably set up GPS rescue for some long distance and do testing. Again, set up in the house, nothing much to do. Might as well go ahead and do something constructive and learn something. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get started, and let's do this now. Okay, I've mounted my GPS module. It is a BN-180, and I mounted it on a Kydex Turtle version 2 adapter from 30 millimeter to 20 millimeter plate. And I did that so I could actually mount it on the rear end of this quad here. So I mounted it using the 3M sticker that came with it under the bottom, and I put some clear heat shrink around that. So now I'm going to go ahead and identify the solder spots on my flight control board on my quad. I wired my GPS module at, and this is a Omnibus F4 version 5 here, and I'm going to, on these 4 pins, I'm going to connect the GPS unit, and this is my ground, my 5 volts, let's see here, this is the transmix UART1 and the receive UART1, and I'm referring to my diagram here, so it will actually be these 4 pins right here that I'll be connecting to. So I'll go ahead and get those soldered up. And I got to be careful because I've got other wires around and a nylon nut here. So I'll go ahead and get those wired up. Okay, using my wiring diagram here for my BN-180 GPS unit, and also my Omnibus F4 version 5 diagram. I have wired up the GPS module, ground, 5 volts. This is the GPS output. The green wire is the GPS RX output going into the TX input, and also the white wire is the GPS TX, and I'm connecting it to the RX connector on my UART1. So I've got the connector here done, so I'm going to put it back together and show you what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hook up to Betaflight and configure this, and hopefully you can see here, I'm trying to hold this and do everything at the same time. And go ahead and connect. And let's see here, I need to go to ports. And under UART1 is the UART that I connected my GPS to. Go to sensors. Select GPS, got that, and then save and reboot. And let's go to connect again, go to configuration this time, and then we have to turn on the GPS tab to enable GPS for the flight controller. And let's see here, I'll show it to you in a second here. I gotta have, for some reason, I gotta have 2 fingers. Okay, I can get right there. Let's see here. Where's the GPS pad? There it is. Let's see here. There it is right there. Let's enable GPS. And if you scroll down, I think the protocol that was called for was the UV locks for this particular one. And I'm using everything else is auto. So let me save. If this doesn't work, then of course I'll go ahead and troubleshoot it and see why it doesn't work. So I'll do a connect right now. You'll see that, well, it does say GPS, so undoubtedly, well, it did for a second, but usually got to have the battery on. So I'm going to stop here and I'll connect the battery up, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I've taken my props off, hooked up to my battery. You can hear a lot of beeping. So what I think is happening right now is that I just got to go in and configure the beeper to acknowledge that I've got the GPS, or maybe not have enough satellites yet, but you can see that I'm connected, and then I've got the GPS it's the insignia right there, or sign that says I am connected to GPS. So also, if you go down here and you see a GPS tab, I'm going to select that. And you can also see that right now I do have some activity here looking for the location, and it has actually found the location right here. So sorry for the beep, and I've got to go in configuration and just configure my beeper for the number of satellites I've got to receive. I'm sure that's what it is, and I'll come back and actually show you what it looks like when it's actually operating without this beeper continually going off. Look to see where I could turn the beeper off, but I had nothing on the GPS that's told me to beep whenever I didn't have GPS connection. I think that is just a default that the quad flight controller will initiate the beep until I have all the satellites. So right now, if you can take a look, you can see I've got 9 satellites, and everything is connected. So I think I'm good for that. It shows the location where I'm at, and that's exactly where I live by an interstate, so that is exactly where I'm at. So that's good, and this is even inside the house. So you know, I've got in my room here, there's a window there, but you know, it's on the top floor, but still, I think that's pretty doggone good. So it took about, in the house, it took about maybe 3 or 4 minutes for everything to sync up and find everything. So I'm good. So now what I'm going to do is configure my OSD and add some GPS information on it, and I'll come back and show you what I've got. Yeah, just a note here, I disconnected my battery, and I am connected, and I noted that I'm still getting activity. So the power that I've supplied just from my USB cable is enough for this quad at least to power up my GPS unit, and enough to find the satellites. I've got 7 satellites now. At one time I had 9. If I'm outside, I'm sure I would have a lot more than that, and I'll take a look at that a little bit later. But I thought it was just interesting that you know, that I don't have to have a battery on my GPS on my quad to power my GPS. So I'm going to go ahead, which is a good thing for me. I'm going to go ahead and configure the OSD now. Fairly decent. I just wanted to show you some of the information that I want to display on my OSD as far as the GPS. The first thing I did was show the number of satellites I've connected to, the direction home. I've selected that. This is the speed that I'm traveling, and I've got it empirical, so I'll do miles per hour, and also the distance from home right there. So I just got those 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I've added. So it looks really busy here, and if it's too busy, then I may, you know, move things around and try to maybe even get rid of some things that I don't really use that much. But that's configuring the OSD, and what you do is just go on your OSD panel here for the elements, and just go through, and you'll find all the GPS displays that you can put on your OSD. So the next thing I'm going to do is do the GPS return. So to have that set up, so if I fail safe, if I lose the signal, RSSI signal, it'll automatically you know, come back towards home. It really won't land just like a DJI Mavic or anything like that. It won't do that, but at least it will get close enough for me to maybe regain my signal and take control, and not only for my RSSI signal, but also if I lose video. If I lose video out there, I can just I'll set it up so I can hit a switch. That switch will go ahead and default it into an GPS rescue, and it will turn around and come back toward home until I can get signal video enough so I can take manual control of it again. And once I've got that set up, I'll come back and show you what I've got there. Okay, I think I've got everything configured and set up to go do some testing. On Betaflight, on the Failsafe page, there's a GPS rescue where you can enter the parameters. I've entered those parameters, but I haven't enabled them yet. I'm going to fly in just a drop mode failsafe, just in case I have a problem. But I have also enabled a, let me go over here and show you. On the modes, I have also enabled a switch to switch GPS rescue in if I need to, and it's going to be right here. So I'll be using that, and I've got a switch on my transmitter. So whenever I'm comfortable with the GPS working, it shows me where I'm at as far as direction, the speeds, the altitudes, things like that. Then I will enable the GPS rescue and failsafe, and just do some testing on that to see if it works. So right now I've got everything put back together, and I'll go out and do some testing, and hopefully show you the results, and we'll go from there.